During the 18th century, 13 colonies in North America joined together to break free from the British Empire. Having succeeded the United States of America, a new government was formed. This government wanted a fresh start. They wanted to build new structures that were different from their former colonizers, the British Empire. They chose to copy the Greek style in architecture simply because they believed in the Greek stand for democracy. This style was suited for a country that was looking for a fresh start. In the 1900s, the Americans came to the Philippines and colonized the country. After colonizing the Philippines, the Americans started planning and building new structures in Manila. The Americans used the same style that was used to build their new structures. These structures are called neoclassical architecture. Neoclassical architecture was built as a metaphor of colonial supremacy and democratic iconology in the Philippines. It was based on Greek and Roman buildings. The style contained the orders Doric, Ionic, and Corinthian. The Doric is the simplest but powerful looking. Doric columns appeared on government buildings to suggest justice, incorruptibility, and the republican virtues which American government was drawing from ancient Roman and Greek philosophers. Baguio City Hall is built using the Doric order. There is also a clock tower on top of the pediment. The Ionic is taller than the Doric and is decorated with scrolls at the top. The Ionic columns are usually used when structures want to convey an image of being civilized and learned. An example is the post office. It was built in 1926 and designed by Juan Arellano. He paralleled it to the Lincoln Memorial with the use of combination of proportions, purity of lines, and chastity of detail. There is also a huge rectangular volume which defined the facade. The portico has been emphasized with 16 Ionic columns. And lastly, the Corinthian. It is the most decorative and the tallest of the three. They are similar to the Ionic columns, but they have a design of leaves at the top. The Corinthian is usually used when a more extravagant design is wanted. An example is the Department of Tourism building. It makes use of the Corinthian order of architecture. The DOT is located across another neoclassical structure, the Department of Finance. The DOT was designed by Antonio M. Toledo. The St. LaSalle Hall, located at De La Salle University along Taft Avenue, was designed by Tomas Mapua. It was originally a 3-story building, but another level was added. It also features the Corinthian order. The St. LaSalle Hall's pediments are built with structures and detailed designs. On top of the pediment is a cross. Structures built using the neoclassical style have different features like symmetrical shape, triangular pediment, which usually contains statuaries of different allegorical figures. An example is the National Museum. It was originally designed by Ralph Harrington Doan. It is a fine example of neoclassical architecture. It uses the Corinthian order of architecture and features the triangular pediment on top of the statuary. The statuary features an enthroned maternal figure in the center of the pediment. The maternal figure holds a scepter of power and represents an old-fashioned royalty. There is a male wearing a Filipino tribal attire to her right and a female wearing a barat saya to her left. This depicts that the nation is a product of an unproblematic social division of the Christianized and tribal population. The maternal figure is surrounded by Greek mythological figures acting as her counsel, which invoke the great 20th century civilization of America. The Malcolm Hall, located in UP Diliman, was designed by Juan Arellano. It also makes use of the triangular pediment, but unlike the National Museum, which is designed with sculptures, Malcolm Hall's pediment is plain, since Arellano used the design vocabulary by William Parsons at the start of the 20th century, which is sparse use of classical details and tiled roofing. The last feature is clean lines. They give value to the virtues of logic, beauty, rationality, symmetry, and order. Sometimes, structures were decorated with motifs of classicism like pendants, volutes, figures, and statuaries. These sculptures were sculpted by the colonizers to base a symbolic topography that portrayed the democratic pledge of American colonialism in the Philippines. An example is the Capitol building in Pangasinan. It was designed by Parsons and was described as a successful adaptation of imposing classical architecture in tropical conditions. The structure was built in 1917 and used poured concrete. It was designed with minimal wall surfaces and more on windows to let the air in. On the pediment is the Philippine coat of arms with an American eagle above it, which signifies as the dominant element of the pediment. There are also sculptures of American eagles around the building. Teachers Camp is located east of downtown Baguio along Leonard Wood Road. It was built as a vacation spot for American teachers during summertime. Most of the buildings on Teachers Camp use the earliest variation of neoclassical architecture, which is called federal architecture. Its structures has low-pitched roofs, symmetrically arranged windows, and boxed shape. Neoclassical style has become an influence in today's architecture. Several buildings have used the style but tweaked it to make it more modern. An example is the Brother Andrew Gonzalez Hall of De La Salle University. The structure used a modern design but added a touch of neoclassical by using columns. The Quezon Hall in UP Diliman also mixed neoclassical architecture with a more modern style. Like Andrew Hall, Quezon Hall also made use of large columns. Aside from the neoclassical structures in the Philippines, neoclassical architecture also signifies a lot of things, such as how the Americans used neoclassical architecture by using it as a metaphor of colonial supremacy. Guided by the information on this video, the next time you see one, you can say, "That's a neoclassical structure for sure."